It is feature time in Tulsa. Let's go green.
He's got the run, but isn't enough. It's a drag race to the finish. Culver goes from third to first in the last quarter.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR calendar, such as the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We have races from disciplines across the racing world, from the Indy 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events use iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against everyone taking part. As every race progresses, watch and feel the track change, with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline, or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
After a long season, the inaugural GT3 Open Championship for the Premier Endurance League is finally coming to its conclusion. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scotty Rankin, alongside of David Haynes. And this here, Dave, we're about to crown our inaugural champion of the Gamer Gear Direct Australian GT3 Open Championship. It has all come down to this. It's going to be 2 hours worth of GT3 racing around the circuit in front of us. It is the circuit of Suzuka in Japan, and well, travel over to Japan to conclude things. It just feels right.
Yeah, it's been great racing, 2-hour races, but with a whole strategy element. Many GT3 cars available on iRacing these days, more than the 3 that there was when I started. And those 3 are all retired now. It's new spec cars. So we get all sorts of variety in the racing, in the strategy, and in the cars. And this is the world famous Suzuka circuit.
That it is. And here we go, ladies and gents. If you've been waiting for it, if you've been waiting for the championship finale, it is here and it is on the way. There is nothing more that is going to separate us from crowning a champion here tonight into Japan. And it's that southeastern portion. A circuit known for being a figure of 8. It does cross itself over as they transition down and through the tunnel. It's in the Mie Prefecture as well, debuting all the way back in September 1962. A long series of flowing back to back swapping of direction in the first sector, up and over and down again through Nippo, through the Dagners, the Nissan brake hairpin at turn 11, all the way up to Spoon, and then that long run and probably one of the most challenging, fastest corners in world motorsports at 130R before finally the Hitachi Estemo chicane and onto the front straightaway. And that's only a short run to that start-finish line. Pit lane entry too, very tricky as it feeds directly off the racing line as well. So getting the car down in there. And then the other factor that we haven't really talked about as yet, Dave, is going to be, you know, this is the second race for this championship on that new tire model, but it is playing huge factor into this one because I tell you what, the new tires, whilst I think they are definitely better to drive fractionally beyond the limit, getting them and keeping them close to that limit, that is the challenging factor.
Yeah, the tyre warm-up becomes a little bit more challenging. The chance of undercutting someone on a fresh set of tyres becomes a little bit more difficult initially. One of the big additions to Suzuka here in recent years, that amusement park just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's very cheap to get your combo tickets as well. So I've forgotten how many yen to the dollar, but for not too many, ride some roller coasters, and then Suzuka Circuit's the home of plenty of action and thrills as well.
Critically, this points battle's gone down to the final race as well. Critically, Dean Mackay does lead the way, but it is going to be a fast-charging, fast-finishing Dylan Shepherd. So it'll be TriStar Racing versus One Performance Racing to battle it out for the championship win. Then it comes Ethan Bass and Connor Nixon, both of the Orbit Dropman Motorsport outfit. Remember, Connor won race number 1 all the way back at the start of the championship. Adam Jepson from Russell Pepperell Adam Hughes, Stuart Shaw, Samuel Sproul, and Nick Wood round out your top 10 in terms of the contentions for this one. And qualifying is just about to conclude on our screens at the moment as well, which is the cars circulating around in the background. But 2 hours worth of racing, Dave. And we're going to start with a very, very hot track temp to kick things off. With 25 minutes worth of qualifying, 60% tank restriction, is likely going to need an extra splash of fuel to get home. Whoever can eliminate that, this is a track position racetrack, isn't it? It's very difficult to get the overtake complete at Suzuka.
Well, it was certainly all about the strategy and the fuel strategy at Spa last time. I don't think the pit lane loss is as much here, but you're right that you've got a few high-speed sections, but they don't all immediately lead into, big, convenient braking zones. Turn 1 is super fast here. Of course, 130R is mighty, mighty quick, but occasionally a little bit sketchy depending on the tyre age and the conditions and all of that. So yeah, it factors into not exactly knowing how everyone's going to do not only their fuel strategy, but also their tyre strategy.
Yeah, that'll be a big factor in terms of this one. It does wear quite aggressively on those tyres as well. In the latest iteration of the tyre, I can tell you it was aggressive at Spa as well, but it took just a little bit longer to be something to come in. This is on board the Mustang of Ethan Bass as he fires his way through the first sector. At the moment, he's actually setting a whole bunch of purple sectors for the session, I think, at the moment. Sorry, my apologies, it wasn't him. It would have been Lachlan Capel that was on a flyer at that point in time. But he's the only driver out there and at the moment left on a flying lap, as the session has now ticked to its conclusion. And no surprise, by the way, at the moment, that championship leader and P2 are going to be lining up on the front row, unless this final lap of Ethan Bass has something to say about it.
All the way down into first gear for the hairpin tight line for Bass. For a long while there, quite a few Ford models were made in Japan, but more specifically for the Australian market, I'm thinking Ford Laser and some of those.
Pretty clear. I was actually just watching that onboard there and just thinking, You know what other GT3 I actually saw recently coming from Goodwood that I saw as a missed opportunity? Do you remember the Camaro GT3?
No, I remember seeing it at the Australian Grand Prix. All 8 and some litres of it.
Yeah, brilliant race car. I guarantee you the 8 litres would be the main reason that it's not in operation today, is we turned it away from that. But realistically, that Corvette does not really... the Z06 doesn't really feel like a Chev. It doesn't have that grunt to it. A Camaro just felt a lot more likely, and Ethan's going to pull away on that lap and practice the pit lane entries. That is it. That is the session complete in terms of qualifying, and we'll be on to the gridding phase. We've got about 5 minutes or so before we get into gridding, but this here is confirmation of qualifying results for the final round of the GT3 Open Championship, proudly brought to you by Gamer Gear Direct. Dean Mackay lands his Porsche on the front row. Lining up alongside of him is going to be the Audi of Dylan Shepherd. On row number 2, it is going to be the first of the Acuras. Remember a long time ago, all that we saw were Acuras? Well, here they are. On row number 2, Andrew Scordilis lines up alongside of Adam Hughes. Row number 3 is going to be that of Nick Wood, and it's going to be an all Mustang row number 3 as Nick lines up alongside of Trent Allen in the Entropy Sin Sports Machine alongside the AITT Revolution iRacing team. From there, we'll throw it back one further row. Ethan Bass, we said he was in 7th place at that point in time when we were talking about him. He did manage to not improve on that lap, stayed there. And Mustang for him alongside of the Evolution Racing team, McLaren of Lachlan Capel. Moving one row further back to the next of the AITT Revolution e-racing entries of Leith McClummett in the Lamborghini and the unloved stepchild. Connor Nixon, the only of the Mercedes in the field, struggling for a little bit of point and turn in the front end of the Mercedes. Rounds out the top 10, 1.4 seconds off the pace, by the way. Owen Coleman is going to be deeper in the field in the Acura. I said there was only one Mercedes. I would be wrong, as Will Buchanan will line up alongside of Owen's Acura. Out to the 7th row of the grid is going to be that of Matt Webber in 13th spot in the McLaren alongside of Patrick Reardon. We'll line up alongside of him 16th and 17th, sorry, 15th spot is going to be that of Bobby Camo. And that should bring us to the back end of the field. There is potential for one more driver to be entering here tonight, will be Liam and Rick Provenzali, who's just creeping to the servers at the moment. So that is it for the session at the moment. Right, update on the weather. It has crept down a little bit. Qualifying was a touch hotter, 38 degrees track temp at the moment. This is guys testing cold tires, and it's going to be that first sector on that first lap, Dave, is survival, but it's a way forward, it's a way backwards. You can lose a lot, but it's that spin and keeping the car on the island is going to be a big factor.
Yeah, and you got tall curbs here, and then into the first Degner, so easy to bottom the car out there, and that's when you find yourself in trouble, is when you're bouncing off too many of the curbs on the cold tyres. Something we've seen plenty of at Spa is that your racing line on the cold tyres isn't just a bit slower, but your racing line's got to be different as well. Some of the track limits through 130R, certainly pushing that in the warm-up and in the race. Likewise, going to have to just be careful through there in various different phases of this race. Expecting, possibly 3 pit stops, and the pit lane here has a pit speed limit of 80 k's an hour, so you do get through pretty quick.
And with 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, we'll be off into gridding phase for a final time for the Open Championship in the current season. Remains to be seen what the next season of racing is going to be looking like. We do know there is another one coming for Premier Endurance League, and I can tell you the next series will be starting in terms of the Open Championship on Sunday, the 31st of August, season number 2. So if you're thinking about getting involved in GT3 racing, Dave, see you behind the wheel, I'm sure. Maybe joining us on Sunday, the 31st of August. Although your commentary chair might get a little bit cold without you in it.
You think so?
Well, that's where we're all headed for the remainder of this one. And the big question, Andrew Scott was showing is having some sort of penalty, I believe, on the way out of the pit lane. Might have resolved that one. But I'm at 90 seconds away from getting into racing action. But the strategy here tonight, I think, is one of the things that we'll be talking about, Dave. Like you said, difficulty in getting the overtake done. Fuel saving, even if you can't eliminate that pit stop, if you can't get the job done, you're going to have to fuel save. I think is going to be the critical factor. But that new GT3 tyre model, it does wear, it does fall off, you can overdo it. Bringing the tyres in gently will be important.
Yeah, super surprising to us that, or to me at least, that 2 stops seemed possible at Spa and kind of was the aim of the winning strategy. And so we'll see here at Suzuka if it's different based on the cars, the track, the weather, the tyres as well, key to that, exactly how hard you can push for those couple of laps, either side of a pit stop. And that's what you just got to keep an eye on then approaching the first pit stops, is who blinks first at around the 35 to 40 minute mark.
Yeah, and the big thing will be is if you eliminate some of the fuel, but you're still committing to that 3-stop strategy, obviously picking that correctly. Losing out because you ran out of fuel in the lane, losing out because you ran out of fuel out in the racetrack, those are the 2 circumstances you want to avoid. So if you can't make that extra lap, still pitting early is generally the best way to go. But here we come. 5 seconds or so, we'll flip on over to gridding.
Did you know that the mascot for Suzuka Racetrack is a motorcycling intergalactic dinosaur named Kochira?
Because Japan, am I right?
Yeah, I was like, what's the mascot of Mii Prefecture? I couldn't find one. I was like, let's get more specific. Yes, Kochira. Kochira.
I've seen endurance motorcycle races from this track, and they were always actually really, really interesting to watch. They're coming in, doing a bike swap, rider swap, filling the bike back up and getting back out there. But yeah, no, I've learned something tonight. There you go. That is going to be the fun fact, I think, about this racetrack I mentioned for the rest of the time. But here we go. We are forming up down towards Spoon Curve. It'll be just moments, and then we will be on to the racing. Big thing coming into tonight's final round is that championship battle. 20 points, the difference between our top two. That'll be the margin that we'll be keeping an eye on all night. It's going to take a mistake. It's going to take some sort of issue to ensure that that comes to fruition. But that will be the marker that we'll be keeping an eye on. For the meantime, live points in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Dean Mackay leads the way before we turn a lap in anger by 20 points. Will be the big one that we keep an eye on.
Mini pit lane for the west configuration just here on the back straight. Practice sessions, you used to be able to run through it, but I think they did an update and you can't anymore.
Yep. Fairly confident that's the case these days.
But on all configurations of VIR, you can run through the south paddock pit lane.
We just rolled past. I believe there's barriers erected. No, it is still open. The entry is still open. There you go. I believe there's an invisible barrier, but you're right. It's taking the mickey out of things and rolling through a pit lane's tendency to get those things closed off very, very quickly. Finally, we've waited a season for this one to come to us. Weaving on the tyres is to cease. We'll line ourselves up. Field will be in the hands of Dean Mackay. Dylan Shepherd will line up alongside of him, and we'll see what he can do from the outside of the front row. He's got it all to do. Here we go. Green flag for the final time to start the race. And they are going to fire off down into turn one for the first time tonight. Mackay leads the way. Shepherd slotted in, and Adam Hughes is going to spot off the start. It'll be the two teammates from Blackout OPR that will line up third and fourth, trying to feed their way through. Have a look at the two teammates from the Orbit Drop Bear squad as well.
Yeah, the Mercedes seems really strong in those cold tyres. Connor Nixon's jumped a couple of spots in turn two, just went straight around the outside of his teammate Ethan Bass. So if you can make hay while the sun's shining in a stable platform like the Mercedes, then this might be a time of the race where that car is pretty good. You've got Dylan Shepherd closing in right underneath the big rear wing of Dean Mackay for the race lead.
Yep. So it's those teammates 2, 3, and 4 on the road. We'll continue to try and harass, and there goes exit stage left for Adam Hughes. He got a little bit of a slide on, and then the tyres bit. It was right as he was correcting. Did he keep it out of the fence? By all accounts? No, he did not. It looked straight, and I tell you what, Shepherd's already starting to try and have a go at Dean Mackay.
Connor Nixon's trying to grab another one in the background there in the Mercedes, so he's alongside Nick Wood at the moment. This is such a fast sweeping right-hander. Not sure you want to be on the outside there, but you want the inside for spoon curve if you can get it. Another tightening double apex left-hander, brake a little bit, pitch in, and then sort of dragging the brakes, keeping the weight on the nose into this tightening and off camber, exit a spoon curve. The exit's so difficult here, but everyone's just starting to feel out better what they've got, what the track conditions are doing, and critically getting more tyre temperature as we go.
Yeah, build that temperature, build that tyre temperature. How brave are you going to be down at 130R on cold tyres as they tip in and full fuel for the first time? I saw a little bit of a lift-off oversteer moment for Nick Wood as he tipped his way in there. But Dean Mackay is going to lead us back to the start-finish line to make it a successful opening lap for him. Will manage to hang on to it. And this
is going to be Adam Hughes. So going into the first deck, a little bit of curb, a little bit of a slide and a hop, snaps the other way and goes nose first into the incredibly soft tyres out there. But again, I hate to say I told you so, but that much curb on the cold tyres, some cars just don't handle it.
Yeah, they just don't. And it's the changing grip in the tyre. Nixon, though, after starting off of 10th spot, is up 3 into 7th. 2 spots grabbed as a result of aggression. 1 spot gained through the mistake of Adam Hughes. And Hughes is actually not too far off the back end of the field either. He's managed to maintain touch Going to be coming up on Rick Provenzalo, who, by the way, did manage to take the start of this one. In the meantime, tyre temperature starting to build.
There. He got wide. Oh, he's going to get wide again. You can see how close his teammate is right behind him. It's gravel on the track there. There's going to be more gravel on the track. So through Dunlop, got a bit wide, got the outside tyres in the grass, then checked up his teammate who's made a mistake. Bass is going to lose 2 positions to McClymont in the Lamborghini and fucking, I think, in the Mercedes. Buchanan, I should say.
Buchanan.
Too much TCR on the mind. Never go full TCR.
Leith McClymont was actually quite quick in that Lamborghini a couple of weeks ago in the limited final, but had a lot of problems with, again, the big issue for that car, that the Lamborghini platform. It's become the most unloved child in GT3 machinery of late, is the stability. When it first launched, it was the go-to. It was quicker than the Audi, it was more stable, it was everything you wanted. It's got that great engine note that we know and love. It's just a little bit more on top of the Audi, which is why we like it. And as it's developed, then we saw the Porsche 992 become relevant, and of late it was the Acura and the McLarens that were generating all the talk. The big thing I think the tyre update has really changed, Dave, is it's not just a tyre update, it's also the aero model update. But the thing we're starting to see is that it's track dependent what car. It's not just always pick and stick with what GT3, because that's the strongest car, strongest platform anymore.
Yeah, the teams and the manufacturers and the developers sort of work out what their cars do at different, ride heights, angle of attacks, different weather conditions, and create, a multi-dimensional, map of how the car aerodynamically behaves and reacts. And that's the kind of information that iRacing, when they can get it, can actually put to really, really good use. And I think it's something that they're aiming more for with these cars, just to get all of the tiny little difference and sensibilities. And it's why balance of performance for GT3 includes minimum ride height that can change, minimum ride height front and rear. It's an important tool for balancing the cars together around a variety of different racetracks. That's going down the inside of the hairpin and making it happen.
Yeah, so he's going to get the aggression back on after making that mistake. Clears Will Buchanan. Makes one step further forward. This is how that one was set up. Just recognised that there was a hole presenting itself, and Buchanan just sort of made that one a lot easier than it could have been. Could have scrabbled for it, could have fought it, but recognised that was probably going to happen, whether and when rather than if.
Track limits have been interesting. You see that Trent Allen in 4th has the fastest lap of the race, but it's because he's the highest running driver who's done a clean lap. Mackay, Shepard, Scordilis, the top 3, haven't set a clean lap that could count towards the fastest lap of the race yet. There's a few places that could be happening, but the exit of 130R is certainly one of them. The exit of Spoon Curve, and between the apexes of Spoon Curve, another.
And the incident point count, the penalties tonight. 50 incidents before we hit that first penalty, and then it's every 10 thereafter. And Dean Mackay will respond by immediately going and setting the fastest lap of the race. It's a clean lap, by the way. Dylan Shepard, Andrew Scordilis still yet to set a valid lap time without limits.
Provenzale, black flag on the pit entry. Adam Hughes also had a slowdown penalty, but as they both come into the pit lane, Rick Provenzale has a black flag that's going to hold him for an extra 40 seconds is what it's going to cost him extra at this pit stop for unsafe pit entry or speeding on pit lane.
Oh, that's happened. This is an additional incident for Adam Hughes. Hard on the fence. That's the second time he's gone into the barriers. That explains why he's in the pit lane. But Provence had an issue potentially on that lap.
The black flag for Provenzale happened as he entered pit lane. He didn't enter pit lane because he had a black flag from, not giving up a slowdown or anything else. So, not sure why Provenzale was pitting. It makes sense why Adam Hughes has pitted. He's had 2 big ones, and he's actually so lucky that that car was drivable at all in any way.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it for Rick, unfortunately. By the look of things, he might just be done for the day. Showed up, jumped in the sim, hasn't gone his way, and without the amount of practice that he'd be looking for. And I think he's just decided to sit on the sidelines and play spectator this evening. Lachlan Capel, in the meantime, up 3 spots in qualifying out of 8 into the top 5. Starting to crawl all over Trent Allen, moving his way forward.
The fastest lap of the race goes to Mackay. Scordilis was actually faster, but with an off-track on that lap and every lap so far of the race. Connor Nixon and Adam Hughes also haven't had a clean lap this race. In F1 parlance, that would be, lap time deleted due to track limits. Not necessarily a penalty, but it just means for the cause of, qualifying the fastest lap of the race, that lap time wouldn't be allowed to count.
And something that's probably worthwhile pointing out as well is that scheduled race distance, you get somewhere in the realm of 59 or 60 laps. So if you're picking up at 1 incident point per lap, you will hit a penalty before you hit the end of the race. So it is worthwhile managing. You do need to complete about 12 laps or so without an incident point to give yourself at least a little bit of protection. They're going to have to do that at some point. But now that margin's nearly opened up to the full second to drop the draft from Dean Mackay back to Dylan Shepherd. This is the closest battle on track. Buchanan and Pat Redding going at each other at the moment. And Buchanan's, by the look of things, starting to have issues with rotating the Mercedes. Dropping off a little bit of lap time at the moment.
Well, there's a couple of corners that are going to be really challenging if the car's understeering a bit, and it's all the way through screen curve. It's 1 and 2. It's the changes of direction through the S's. So certainly a track with lots of corners that require balance, because then also if you've got a car that's got too much oversteer in it through a bunch of those sections, you can't get to power on the exit of those corners. You've got to be so gentle and careful changing direction through the S's, etc., etc.
I think Connor Nixon's had a drama and he's slipped behind Leith McClellan as well. I do feel like he was 1 spot further up the road.
No, not sure. I think Nixon dropped back and then he got ahead of Buchanan again, but he hasn't gotten back ahead of McClymont yet, but he's getting close.
You're thinking of Ethan Bass there, Dave?
No, I'm thinking of Nixon.
Alright, maybe I've made a mistake there. Leith McClymont, in the meantime, is up a number of spots at the moment, up 2. And Nick Wood starting to be a little bit in the slide as well in his Mustang, so he might have had a drama of some description. By the way, keeping an eye on track limits, I'm getting a lot of notifications that Andrew Scordilis is being extremely unforgiving in his search for pace. Whether or not that will cost him later on, I don't have an accurate count, but my alerts to track limits are going off like crazy.
Here he is behind Dylan Shepherd in the Acura that Adam Hughes was really struggling with before the tyres got up to temperature. So that's sort of an example of the oversteer effect. So if you go too far the other way with too much oversteer, you end up having all sorts of problems like Adam Hughes had, the car pitching out after bouncing across the curbs and then running a tiny bit wide there through 130R. It then pitched on him again and he went nose first into the wall, out of control. So if you don't have front end, you're waiting and hurting through heaps of the corners. Get a bit too much oversteer if you turn in with your outside tyres on the grass though.
Yeah. Buchanan struggling at the moment in that Mercedes. Mercedes do seem to be on the slide at the moment. Something further's happened to Nixon. Yeah, he's going to be another driver that's going to dive to pit lane. So this might be to get his first pit stop of the night out of the way, unless there's damage to the front end that we can't see on that car. In actual fact, I confirm Connor just slid through his pit stall as well. So issues for him.
Buchanan goes ahead of Reardon, but Bobby Camo's just sitting behind, and he had a good run on the pit straight as well, but decided that 3 wide into turn 1 was not going to work here at Suzuka, which I absolutely commend. I think that's scientific fact. So just sitting in 11th behind this battle for the minute.
It's interesting to note that pit stop from Connor Nixon as well will be relevant to the race, because we're expecting that to be a splash and dash at the back end of the race. So he's got 7 laps on the board. Sorry, 6 complete, and he dives in the pit lane at the end of the 6th lap.
Capel's got the best McLaren at the moment, and it seems to be switching on. So whatever it was about qualifying that didn't quite work for him, looks all right at the moment, closing in on Trent Allen. McLaren F1 used to race in Japan Grand Touring Championship, predecessor to Super GT.
And you're actually seeing the amount of turn-in that Lachlan Capel has, the amount of entry speed that he can carry in that McLaren is significant at the moment compared to those cars around him. He is pulling back a little bit of time in the draft, but Trent Allen has been a huge moment for Andrew Scordilis through 130R, and that is a very, very bent Acura as it will crawl its way back to the pit lane. He is going to the pit lane for sure. It is bent. It is out of shape. And we said that Scordilis was flirting with track limits. Was this one flirt too far?
Well, we'll see. I think this is going to look a whole lot like Adam Hughes, isn't it? Yep. Oh, he almost had it too. That close to sticking the landing and getting a gold medal in Brisbane 2032.
Update. That's live shots as Lachlan Capel got down the inside and made slight contact door to door as they got to turn 2. He will get the job done, and that now becomes P3 after the incident heading into the final chicane. That did check up Trent Allen just a little bit. The door opened itself and Capel's slammed that one close.
Tough break for the Acuras, and it shows the difference between a qualifying car and a racing car, because Scordilis and Hughes both qualified really well, but you got to live with it for 120 minutes. That's why you don't get married in Vegas.
That was a slow burn, Dave, but that hit eventually. Do love your sense of humour. Bobby Camo's starting to make some speed now as well. Driving up to the tail end. This little group. That's a new livery as well for the 747 driver, who's currently got full Send Sim Sports on the team information, but I can guarantee you that one's going to get updated in the very near future to AITT Revolution E-Racing. Scordilis is in the pit lane for a long period of time as well. I wonder whether or not he then maybe got an unsafe pit lane entry or speeding infringement as well, or is he just done for the day?
Well, so no, he certainly had a lot of damage. There's a fast repair available, so did he maybe not take it, or he's decided still connected to the server? Don't know exactly what is the source of the long stop for Scordilis. Hughes got in and out of the pit lane in just 7 seconds, fixing his car. Lachlan Capel's released 2 minute .3. It's 1:59s for the leaders Mackay and Shepherd. Connor Nixon don't have a flying lap from yet, and we don't know exactly what he did vis-a-vis tyres, do we?
No, well, 10-second pit stops, no tyres for sure.
Yes, of course. So, what if he changed just to front left?
That would be crazy. So,
yeah, because this isn't a clockwise or an anti-clockwise circuit, because it's a figure 8. Top 3 favourite figure 8 racetracks, Scott?
I'm not trying to think.
Suzuka, Oran Park, Rainbow Road. Drama at the hairpin, McClymonts backwards.
Oh, and I was just thinking for Leith McClymonds, he was actually doing quite well on that Lamborghini. It was trending all in the right directions for him. Is there damage to that race car? Is it in the dagners? And bounces up and over the curves. Looks okay at that point in time. So it'll be this next corner here. Was there help? Did he do it on his own? There's going to be a car firing down the inside. He was helped. And there was no overlap there for Ethan Bass in the Ford Mustang.
well, that's what's known in the music industry as slap bass.
And I think Andrew Scordilis, by the way, I think is still in pit lane after 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So it doesn't matter what goes on for him for the rest of the night. Effectively, they will be done.
Yeah, Provençale is still there as well after the black flag. I'm interested to see what the lap times are like at the end of this lap for Connor Nixon, but also you can see that Mackay, Shepherd, Capel's still not able to do the 159.6 pace that Mackay and Shepherd are both doing. This next group comes along, but clearly for Connor Nixon, the goal was an undercut. He's got Adam Hughes after his damage just behind him. So, yeah.
It's sort of served twofold, hasn't it? And the big thing for Connor Nixon is that contact between his teammate Nathan Bass. I believe the comment's going to take both of those drivers out of the equation. And this will tell us exactly how far out Ethan got. This is just ahead of the rear wheel. He didn't quite get there, and there was a gap between the two cars. They may not have made contact there.
See, I always grain of salt on that sort of thing, because you go, oh, there was a bit of a gap. Yeah, 5 milliseconds later, there wasn't going to be. They were gonna, the timing, they were gonna make contact, and it was gonna be really awkward, low overlap contact in the middle of a corner. I don't think, netcode different this way or the other, that isn't a crash that looks like what we saw.
Has Leith McCormick still got issues? Was that a misshift? Yeah, he's early shifting. There's issues for him. So we just watch this on the exit. And there's going to be no ground made. He just lifts. Just watching him down the back straight, he is shifting in all the normal points, so that has changed itself. Nick Wood is now going to have Ethan Bass for a little bit of company. And I do believe I did hear from race control that there was discussion that they would not have made contact and therefore no penalty, which is how netcode tends to be ruled. Would the cars have still made contact? If no, then you can't really place the blame on either driver. Yeah, indeed, I've just had it confirmed. Netcode, no further action. So nothing further will be done with that incident between those two drivers. 20 minutes into this one now. Ethan Bass, now he's got space for Nick Wood to contend with. A few seconds down the road, Trent Allen will be his next victim. He's going to send it down the inside, and he sent that from a mile back, but he got a lot further up this time. Wood's going to fight him on the exit. Will have the momentum, went the longer way around the corner, which means he'll get the drive out, but there is a lot of side draft in operation there. Completes the pass back for Nick Wood, and again going to fire it down the inside. Bass does get far enough up alongside, but again he's on the narrow part of the racetrack to the outside, and Nick Wood's just yielded that one, waved the white flag and allowed it to happen at Spoon Curve. So job done now for Ethan Bass, and his next conquest will be that.
Shepherd spun from second.
Oh, you're kidding!
Shepherd's off at 130R from second place. Dean Mackay gets a big free kick out of this one. Lachlan Capel's not too far back, and it's eerily reminiscent of the crashes for his two teammates at 130R.
He got the fence too. You're going to see it here in just a few moments, up and over the curb. That Audi looked like it might have been bottoming out, just slaps the fence on the left-hand side. In the window to make it home. On two further stops after this one. A 3-stop race, so he's going to dive to the pit lane. He's not necessarily going to lose out massively.
Well, he's going to lose out if his car does that again anytime in the remaining more than 3/4 of the race still to come. Because if I think he had, a rear corner suspension damage there, so you'll take the fast repair, and now, That's happened in the first 12 laps. You've got to do another 50 and not do it again.
That is. And therein is going to lie the challenge. Where has he popped back out? It is about 10 seconds up the road from Adam Hughes and Connor Nixon. Well, Adam Hughes has gotten by Connor Nixon in a hurry as well. You just wonder, I'm just going to put something in the back of your mind here, Dave. Even though Dean Mackay doesn't need to pit, does he now pit this next lap just to make sure that he covers off any undercut? Just to put him back in the dirty air.
Well, is there any undercut to be had from these guys who don't appear to have changed tyres?
Not really, but it's the clean air will be the big factor. And I think
got heaps of clean air right now, so
to answer my own question,
if you can just keep him the minute 59s.
I can tell you Dylan Shepard's caught Bobby Camo, so clean air is gone. So yeah, that sort of solves that argument.
You don't always have to react to your opponent making a mistake. I think Sun Tzu said that.
Okay. But for now, looks like Dylan Shepard's, he sees the one making the mistake, or perhaps internet connection, mounts the curb on the inside, a little bit of issues with the rear. Arrives on the scene where he had issues a lap ago. He is making ground on Bobby Camo. And now comes the hard task of recovering the remainder of the night.
Bit of cloud cutoff suddenly comes off, jump scare in turn 2.
Leith McClumit's rear end, he's just not having a great night. And there ends the difficulty of driving the Lamborghini.
This is what we were saying, you know, if you don't have enough front end, then you're hurting for lap time through corners like that. But again, oversteer, and there are a heap of corners that will punish you for it around here. So it's happened at Degner, it's happened at turn 1. 130R has obviously taken a couple of tickets.
Dean Mackay now enters a little bit of the relaxation zone. Last time by, 2 minute flat 267, so still reasonably quick and pointy from him. What will the time be on lap number 13 as he gets towards the line? Going to be back into the 1 minute 59s, nearly his fastest lap of the race. He's only 0.03 of a second away from his best so far.
Again, it's deceptive though, because actually the fastest lap Dean Mackay has done was a minute 59.6, but it involved some track limits. And Shepard will have to be careful with them from here on out. No fast repairs left in his back pocket. You talked about that if we're expecting a 3-stop race, he's still going to make it on 3 stops. So the only real disadvantage is in time lost in the traffic here. He does need to be careful and safe for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
And he'll be frustrated through the S's. You know he won't be. Bobby Camo rolling out the red carpet.
But that was very difficult to read because he got right up close to him before recognizing that Camo wanted to dive out of the way. I tell you what though, how good's the new generation GT3 time model been when the first special event that rolls out, there's a last corner, last lap pass in a 24-hour race for a victory. That says you probably got it right pretty much straight on. A little bit of tyre wear, traction does become an issue at the back end of the stint in the lower speed corners. Like I said, I'm just watching Dylan Shepard's onboards at the moment, and coming off of the hairpin, there was an uncrossing of the hands and an immediate correct to a small on-power slide.
This graphic showing that last lap a little bit scruffy from Buchanan, so Reardon got a little bit of time back, just on the basis of Buchanan going about 7/10 slower than he had on previous laps, but that doesn't account for the full offset. So Reardon obviously in the Mustang found a little bit more on the lap as well, where Buchanan lost out. They're the next closest group of cars on track now that Shepard is past Bobby Camo. Adam Hughes is pulling away from Connor Nixon. Lachlan Capel not closing in Dean Mackay for that race lead, although Capel really in his mind should be thinking, because Capel absolutely would have seen Dylan Shepard going off the road there, and be aware that he might now be battling for that second place against Shepard if he can get it. This is Capel. Yeah. Oh, we're going to do the comparison. Last laps. There we go. Yeah, Dylan Shepard. Bit more weight of fuel in the car. Needs to dial the gain back just a tiny bit after that massive accident he had at 130R. So it actually doesn't surprise me with all of those factors that Capel was still just a little bit quicker over the last group of laps.
Yep, so Capel's, I guess one of the biggest things is when you look at the Porsche platform and the McLaren platform, is that they've seemed the most stable while still offering some turning ability. I think some power has definitely come away from the Porsche. Whether or not that's the new aero profile on the car is not as slimmed out, but it does do exceptionally well in high downforce situations. Suzuka one of those.
McLaren's one of the few GT3 cars these days where they actually start with the road car and then build up the race performance parts around it, rather than it basically being a bespoke chassis and carbon fiber body panels, because the road going 720S is already a carbon fiber tub. Of course, Orica making the Ferrari 296 in France, whereas the road cars are made by Ferrari in Italy, in Maranello.
I think most importantly, if you had to build a GT3 race car out of wood, would you build it out of Italian wood? Would you put it out of British wood? That's probably the biggest question I have for the Morgan Aero 8.
Yeah, I'd go for birch or spruce. Or I'd build a Ford Mustang out of Nick Wood.
I'm guessing pine's not in the equation.
Balsa is way out, you know.
You could waste very good English grade 1 willow. There would be too much of that taken away from the supply of good cricket bats. But I don't know if you've also seen Lamborghini's newest iteration of their GT3 race car is coming as well, as they start to move away a little bit more from the Audi.
Temerario.
And decidedly more Italian sounding as well, I must admit.
Although, for an Italian manufacturer, most Lamborghinis have been given Spanish names because they've been named after Spanish fighting bulls, or such.
When you put a bull on the logo, I suppose that's apt.
There was also the concept car, the Lamborghini Estoque, which was named after a type of sword that a bullfighter has. But that's typically been the theme.
I'm going to give you a guess, by the way, of which supercar manufacturer I was looking at the pricings for today. I mean, I had a couple-hour car ride to get through, And what's also
Oh, it's ridiculous how expensive a base 911's become, but there's so many inclusions. Ooh.
Another spin for Leith McClummett, unfortunately. Maybe he's looking forward to the Temerario.
Oh, that was a slide, not a spin. That's the difference. Apparently for the road car, the V8 revs to 10,000. So, I mean, you're going to miss the V10, but a twin-turbo V8 that revs to 10,000, hello?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. But you were right with the manufacturer, by the way, as you started looking at talking about Porsches. I was looking at Porsche Cayennes.
Oh, okay.
I've always, I don't know what, I mean, I've always been a Porsche fan, but for some reason, when you have a look at the Mercedes, you have a look at all the other high-end automobile manufacturers, their SUV selections really don't capture me. Whereas I've always really, the Porsche just seems subtle. Have a guess at what a base model Cayenne goes for, though.
Oh, I'm not well versed in the Australian dollar pricing on them, so I'm gonna say base Cayenne. Now, the base Cayenne would have gone up now that the Macan is a thing, because not many people are going to be buying a super stripped out base Cayenne because the Macan exists. So you move the Cayenne a little further up market to start at 165.
Whoa, you are exceptionally close. It was about 162,000. As pit stops for Trent Allen are going to kick in. So that'll get us some conversation back on the race. And yeah, I didn't end up having a look at the Macan, but that was where I was heading next, as we actually pulled up at that very moment the conversation got dropped. But yes, I do need to go and have a look through option packs on the Macan. But it was interesting. I did a couple of years spending in Melbourne, living in Melbourne, and you see the Cayennes just about everywhere. And
Chirac,
yeah.
Brunswick.
In and around Brunswick, so I was living in Heidelberg. Heidelberg Preston area. Those couple of years, so.
You know that Tim Minchin song, Airport Piano, and the chorus is, women in SUV Porsches always look miserable?
Yeah, the drivers did look miserable, I will admit. But Trent Allen's in. Connor Nixon's back in for another pit stop. That's got to be unscheduled.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. We're short of 40 minutes into the race.
Connor's done. He's actually out of the car. He's jumped in the pit lane and he's out of the car. So that is day done for C. Nixon.
Yeah, he's been impeached.
Which was the issue for me. Was I was looking at him and keeping an eye on the undercut, because that could have been relevant to the overall race at large. It won't be anymore. Worthwhile noting as well, Adam Hughes has actually started to take chunks of time out of Dylan Shepherd. So he's doing an impressive rate of knots at the moment. Shepherd's pace has not been good. I wonder whether or not he's driving it fractionally beneath the limit. And Leith McClummett has got a Temerario on order already. And the Huracan will be shelved. Here comes the first of our pit stops as D. Mackay will jump in a pit lane.
It's just fractionally before 1/3 race distance, is it? We're sort of 37 minutes into the race. 40 minutes would take you to a 2-stop strategy, but this is looking like sort of a 5-lap splash and dash at the end of the race type of situation. Nick Wood carries on for one more, but Dean Mackay, Ethan Bass, Lachlan Capel, Will Buchanan, basically everyone else who hasn't stopped yet is coming in, and even one more lap for Nick Wood might not be enough. So Dylan Shepherd's stop, he took 12 seconds of fuel. Dean Mackay, running longer, has just taken 26 seconds of fuel, and I'm pretty sure a new set of tyres. So you'll see the gap slightly expand there, Shepherd to Mackay, but Shepherd still needs to take 2 long stops, whereas we think Mackay's headed for 1 long stop and 1 short stop. Capel, is that how you build tyre temperature?
Yeah, you'll be twitchy in the McLaren at the moment. I think the big thing with this new tyre as well is it's just too much to ask of those tyres unless you've only got a short stint to do. Because particularly around Suzuka, that front left tyre, it takes, as much as this is a figure 8 track, the front tyres do absolutely take a beating around here. Adam Hughes as well is going to close right up on Dean Mackay and potentially get this one done on him, as this is hot tyres versus cold as well. But again, there will be a hefty fuel price tag to pay, and Adam Hughes pit at the end of lap 3, so he can potentially only go this lap and 2 more in terms of maximum distance. He's going to show the nose, and Mackay cuts it off. Has he got tyre temperature already? Runs it quite wide, and bravely so. This is going to be a very light-fueled Adam Hughes.
Well, maybe this is the crossover. Maybe the tyres have started to go off a little bit for Hughes. And Mackay's building them up quickly. Nick Wood comes into the pit lane, and even once he takes his stop and he comes back out, it's still not going to be 40 minutes into the race. We're so close through 130R. Mackay's going to look to defend the inside here from Hughes.
Yeah, he covers it off. What he's got to recognise is this isn't necessarily his race for now, but the tricky part is that they're only going to be crossed over by 2 laps. You're right, Wood in the pit lane. And again, this is going to be a very, very light Acura. About 3/4 of the way through this lap, Dean Mackay's tyres should be all but there. Gains being made down the front straight away. He's got a late dive, late lunge to the inside. Not quite capable of getting far enough up. And Mackay, whatever it is about that Porsche, it is not looking the handful that the rest of the field look like they're having on cold tyres.
Gives him so much confidence across the curbs and in the traction zones on the exit of the corners, so he might need to be careful in the braking zones where I think he's losing a fair bit of time, and on the turn into some of these corners. But, you know, exiting the corners looks like it's, you know, good to go out of the box.
And it'll be, this lap will be his last opportunity. If he's going to fire it, it's going to be at the hairpin. What has happened is it has made Dean Mackay look backwards and not forwards, which has sort of been the first time that he started to do that this race. Now the other question is you're right, Hughes tyres starting to hit that cliff, particularly the longer he's up behind that Porsche, and the drive that Mackay got off that hairpin says to me those tyres are up and ready.
What appetite does Adam Hughes have to fight Dean Mackay when Mackay's still got a faster pair in his back pocket? And I don't think Adam Hughes does. A couple of other battles after these pit stops as well. So Patrick Reardon, slightly quicker stop than Will Buchanan, is ahead of him. They're 1 lap offset as well, so there's a bit more tyre temp for Reardon. Dean Mackay, I mean, lap by lap by lap it goes on, and he's more comfortable, quicker, more secure.
And the margin does close significantly. 3 points, but it would have to finish this way, and Adam Hughes shadows him all the way to the corner, trying to force the mirror watching, trying to force the mistake. He will probably only be 1 lap away from pitting, but all this does is it just hands some margin back. There's a 14-second difference in pit lane transit time between Dylan Shepherd and Dean Mackay. That's the amount of time that he will have to pull out because he's going to have to pay the fuel bill. But for now, Adam Hughes is trying to make him pay the on-track bill as he challenges him once more. Those tyres will be there now for Dean Mackay. And Hughes in the grass. He is pushing everything. Here's the battle on a little bit deeper in the field. This is Bass. And this is going to be 6th place Trent Allen, who tries to get down the inside and steal that one away from him. 2 Mustangs door-to-door at turn 1. 2 Mustangs single file at turn 2.
That's trying to cut back underneath, but it doesn't work. Trent Allen goes ahead, moves into 5th place. Dean Mackay staying ahead of Adam Hughes. Adam Hughes doing the best he can for his teammate to try to open up more gap between Shepherd and Mackay. (34°C on the track, down a smidge from where it had been. It's getting later into the afternoon as well, so it'll be quite dark perhaps by the end of this race, and the track will continue to cool off as we go.
Yeah, check this little group on back as well. As 48 machine, Patrick Reardon continues on. He's now got ahead of Will Buchanan. That's Andrew Scordillis, who has got back out there, but he is now 4 laps down on Leith McClimate. Oh, sorry, he's three and a fair way down on Leith McClimate. But effectively, he's not out there challenging anymore. He's just circulating, logging laps. If you put the work in, put the practice in, put the setup building in, you may as well make the flag.
And Hughes is going to come in. So now you just look at the gap. Shepherd versus Mackay. That's come down a bit on this lap. Shepherd's lap not amazing. Dean Mackay's getting better and better as the tyres come back in. Reardon and Buchanan towards 130R.
This will be a Stoush, who's brave enough. They're going to make a touch of contact and running wide. The 48 machine. Scordilis is still in this mix as well. He's the lapped car in the middle of this little train. Hughes, where will he pop out? Is he going to pop out in behind this battle pack as well? That's worthwhile keeping an eye on. I think he might. As he's down the far end of pit lane. Be up on the jacks and on cold tyres at this point in time, you would expect. Scordilis is going to try and get to the inside and clear the Mercedes just to try and build some margin.
Yeah, you're thinking there for Scordilis is, I waited for you guys to sort your battle out. Now let me through because I'm quicker, but I didn't try to mix it up between you guys before you'd had a chance to, you know, settle it yourselves.
And Bobby Camo, by the way, has also exited the sim. He is also done for the day.
So for Dylan Shepherd, tyres are now 21 laps old. They've been on since the start of the race. Dean Mackay's are just beginning to hit their sweet spot. So that gap first to second, top left of the corner of screen, just keep an eye on that one because it was up to 9.5 seconds. And if Mackay keeps bringing it back down with a fuel advantage still to build, because before Shepherd's accident, they were only half a second apart in this battle for the win and the championship between Dylan Shepherd and Dean Mackay. And now as they're sort of 8.5 seconds apart, if Mackay can keep chipping that down, which I think he can, it looks even better for Dean Mackay.
Mm-hmm. And one thing you're thinking about is Dylan Shepherd forced to potentially save a little bit of fuel. Because some of the life gone out of those tyres were just following.
And there's 14 seconds difference of fuel, but they're only 8 seconds apart. So it's still, you know, after that crash and the time lost for Dylan Shepherd, not a great amount of time lost, but time lost. You know, he spun out and he was backwards and then he entered pit lane. Dean Mackay still has kind of like a net race lead of 5 or 6 seconds.
And the other thing I'm just thinking as well is Lachlan Capel, in at about the same point as Dean Mackay as well. He's only going to be about 3 seconds or so behind Dylan Shepherd at the moment. So Shepherd's got to keep the pace up. There is actually no room there for error.
Yeah, Shepherd's taken 12 seconds of fuel. Capel's taken 26 seconds of fuel and is 18 seconds behind. So the difference is 14 seconds, but Capel's 18 behind. So net, sort of about 4 seconds behind. If Shepherd's pace drops off, it's not only Dean Mackay that he'll lose out to, but potentially Lachlan Capel. Here we go again, round 2.
Ethan Bass gets to the inside this time. He will slam the door close on exit, which means for now he's got that spot. It was a better exit though from Trent Allen, who's going to continue to go to work and try and line this one up. Shows the nose at the entry to Spoon, but that one looks about signed, sealed and delivered. Narrow entry to the second part of Spoon. He's going to have entry speed, but it's the middle and exit, and it's the middle and exit, not just speed, it's the middle and exit spin that betrays the 27 Mustang.
Yeah, that's costly, real costly. Had to drive backwards, which you've got to be really careful doing. How far you drive
Capel's hit the
backwards.
barrier. I think Capel might have just hit the barrier off 130R. I did just see a massive time drop, but no, he's actually okay, never mind. I saw numbers scrolling rapidly on the timing sheet, so I thought it might have been Capel had a mistake.
No,
But
Capel's lap time was fine. It might have been someone else. Mackay takes more time out of Shepherd. Lachlan Capel's last lap time looked great, a 1:59.9. Trent Allen, maybe? His last lap was a bit... Well, obviously, he's just gone around, so yeah, we saw Trent Allen go around. Reardon's last lap time a bit of time loss.
very difficult to drive, I think, is the challenge that we're looking at. cannot believe how difficult the new GT3s have been to drive, and just you've got to be consistent right the way throughout the stint, and that looks like it's a challenge for so many.
We got to take back everything we've said over the last 10 years. Dentists and spinal surgeons are actually amazing racing drivers. It's the GT3s that are difficult.
Do need to find a way to get some budget to jump in one of these things for just a few laps.
I want a Porsche Cup car more than I want a GT3. I think a 991.2 Cup car is. I'd love a half-day test.
You took the words out of my mouth. I'm glad you have a fondness for the 991.2. For me, it's the drivetrain one, and that old style engine. The new engine, it sounds more gutsy. It sounds more like they've tried to make it sound like a V8, and it subtracts from the raw Porsche sound.
For me, it's the sweet spot of. It looked like and drove like the road-going GT3 car as, you know, a cup car, as a race car, and just had a little bit less aero on it, but still had a, you know, paddle sequential gearbox, but just hadn't quite gone as full GT3 as the current one kind of looks like it drives and looks like it looks.
Realistically, the current one and the GT3, the only difference between them is the amount of aero on them and how cheap they are to produce. There's a fair bit less maintenance involved. I think they try to basically take a GT3 car, trim it off a little bit, and make it easier for the teams to run. Adam Hughes, in the meantime, has driven his way all the way back up to Patrick Reardon. He gets to the inside, completes that pass on the run down to turn number 1. I do believe I've asked you this question before, Dave, but it's another one that I do enjoy the discussion point about. It became a very, very important discussion point in the V8 Logitech Pro Invitational for the V8 Supercars just recently. Tracks on iRacing. What is your favourite track that doesn't exist yet on iRacing? What do you want them to scan, and what's the reasoning behind that?
I mean, first it's racetracks I've driven that aren't on iRacing. So give us Carolina Motorsports Park, Autobahn, Country Club, and Dylan Shepherd's pitting in, so I'll have time to think about it.
Yeah, so that will be the end of that. No, that's a very, very early pit for him. I think that's for tyres. You know what? I don't think he took tyres at the end of the first stint. Now he's coming in for tyres. We're 50 minutes into this race. I think he's trying to split the remaining run in half and sort of go, it's an hour and 10, so 70 minutes and 70 minutes. 35 minutes and 35 minutes, to go to the end. I think he's trying to split tyres up to go to the end on that run because I think he's actually struggling on the tyres.
So rather than drive 25, 30 laps on a stint of tyres and then do 15 and 15, he's decided I'm not... Dean Mackay's catching me, Lachlan Capel's catching me, but in ideal conditions, I can have more pace than those guys. It's the tyres that are running out.
Yeah, which is not a terrible decision. You can see him immediately trying to warm the tyres up as he slots back in behind Dylan Shepherd. Sorry, my apologies. That is Dylan Shepherd. He shots him behind Trent Allen. As Hughes goes ahead and sets new fastest lap of the race. In a fresh pair of boots for him. Track temps dropped away just a fraction. Down to 33 degrees Celsius as it is approaching 5 p.m. sim time. Of course, Japan, Northern Hemisphere, summer at the moment. But yes, race tracks that are not yet on the sim is where we're headed with that one.
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of demand for Autobahn Country Club, which is like 5 miles away from Chicagoland and has never seen professional motorsport. Carolina Motorsports Park, maybe. There's actually quite a lot of IMSA teams and NASCAR teams that test there because of its relative proximity to, Charlotte and a lot of the motorsport teams, IMSA teams around that area. So then you've got to think Australia, New Zealand. Surface Paradise on, I reckon that'd be great. I think it's a pretty good racing track for a whole wide variety of cars. It's, pretty short, sharp. You spend 15, 20 minutes practicing it and you've kind of figured most of it out, but there's still an element of volatility to, how you hit the curbs and all of that. And we know iRacing know how to animate a tram because one exists at Portland.
St. Petersburg's been suggested to us by our producer in the background as well, and I agree wholeheartedly with that one. Particularly just because of the raw engine sounds of Indy cars jumping up and over. Oh, sorry, no, I'm thinking of Nashville, the Nashville Street Circuit. Yeah, but St. Petersburg's actually a really, really brilliant flat little track. The Nashville Street Circuit's actually not too bad. I mean, I'm going to immediately drop in Sepang. You probably heard this to death, but I love Sepang, particularly now we have rain.
Bang Sen.
Bang Sen, you want Bang Sen?
Yeah, give me Bang Sen before you give me Buragam.
I agree with that. Although Buragam would actually Buragam makes for a reason for GT3 racing. I think is the biggest benefit. A lot of track limits that are available there. But the one that doesn't come up a lot and that I've played in a lot of old arcade races, Brno, the Czechoslovakian circuit.
Yeah.
A lot of elevation change at Brno. I think that's part of the reason that it should be on there, because it's just a brilliant, the picturesque locale that it's based in as well. Why, Dave, when I look up at our broadcast chat, do I see a picture of a Japanese Prius camper?
Because there are some very interesting and unique Japanese campers. Now, every man and their dog, and they do have dogs at a campsite in Australia, is some, awning attached to the side of an Isuzu D-Max. But they do interesting stuff in Japan, like this fiberglass add-on to a Toyota Prius that turns it into a camper. They've got K-truck campers.
The next thing that went through my mind is, do they have Toyota Hilux Champs in the camper? Very interesting car. If you've never seen the front end of that. Racing on track at the moment is Adam Hughes now targets Will Buchanan after picking off Patrick Red, and there's been some issues for Red and because he has dropped off quite significantly. Cable, Ethan Bass is actually probably the fastest driver on track at the moment, so he's worthwhile keeping half an eye on. And then second to Lachlan Capel. I do just need to keep half an eye on Dylan Shepherd's lap times compared to those guys. He's still bringing those tyres in, so we should see a respective lap time from him this next time by. And I've been informed that there is a Canadian track by the name of Mont Tremblant, and has been in operation in its current configuration from 2002. But I get the feeling that this circuit would also have a significant amount of...
Isn't that one owned by Strollstad? Yeah, it's owned by Strolls. Adam Hughes has gotten by Will Buchanan, as we might have expected. The driver with the fastest lap of the race, who was running in the top 3 before 130R took some bits off his Acura.
I believe he's now saying 130R, I want those back.
What's a pirate's favourite corner?
Don't tell me.
R.
Of course it is. For the fans watching,
it's actually Stowe at Silverstone.
Because he's stowed away. Yeah. I do want to put the questions out about track combinations that should be scanned added to iRacing. I think the entire community quivers in anticipation of Adelaide. That track is going to be the most overused track immediately as soon as it comes out, because the hype levels for it are going to be nigh unheard of. I guarantee there'll be a few 500-kilometer V8 supercar races popping up as soon as that track gets launched. You had an opportunity to transition around the new longest GP circuit on iRacing. Yeah, it's at the Bend Motorsport Park. Yeah,
it's the longest circuit and the longest named circuit. Endurance configuration at Shell V Power Motorsports Park at the Bend.
Rue Koistra chiming in and saying Sepang. Good to see. That's everyone watching.
Imagine if they named it like Interlagos, so it was Circuit Yasser and Sam Shahin. So that Interlagos is named after two brothers. Is it Mexico City as well?
Yeah. I tell you what, that track's going to be awesome to have on iRacing as well, in multiple different configurations. The one that NASCAR went to, but also the GP layout. I think Mexico City is going to be a unique racetrack. And the other thing to think about when heading there is, well, we're reasonably confident, based upon the way that turbochargers work at Bathurst, that the air thinness is modelled there, which will be an interesting prospect.
Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, named after brothers Ricardo Rodriguez and Pedro Rodriguez. Autodromo Hermanos Shahins at the Bend, powered by Shell V Power.
In the meantime, we tick into the final hour of the championships for the first part of 2025. And there will be a second half coming, with the first round set for the back end of August. For the moment, the difficulty remains who can stop Dean Mackay. Lachlan Capel's margin to him is blown out just a little bit more, so whatever was going on there in terms of lap times, it's now ticked away from him, unfortunately. Lap times between Dylan Shepherd and the top two have stabilised, but Ethan Bass just continues to be the quickest driver on track. He's not taking massive chunks out, but he is taking in the realm of 2 to 3 tenths consistently.
And they're about to see that he's just a couple seconds behind Lachlan Capel and just slowly closing it up.
Game.
Yeah, only a couple drivers really matching that kind of pace right now, like Adam Hughes is flying. Dylan Shepherd hasn't got down to that pace since his pit stop yet. Not bad from Trent Allen either. So is that just is it Mustang o'clock at Suzuka?
Let's just be. I don't know how to explain the pace out of Adam Hughes. It must be as the track temp comes down, to sort of come back to a couple of the cars. Maybe where we were earlier on in the session was just a touch too far for the tyres. Leaf the Climate's not making anywhere near as many mistakes now that the track temp's just cooled off a little bit as well. So I'll tell you what, it might just be those tyres. They were just cooking. So it's the mid-30s really on a long-loaded circuit where they go off and it becomes the management game. Isn't that interesting to see? It just a couple degrees changes the performances of the race cars and how they drive significantly.
iRacing should just scan an airport or like Alcatraz or something and just let you drive around or the Vatican City. Just scan something that you can just drive around. Replace Centripetal Circuit with Norfolk Island or
Well, I was about to say, have you seen? We've just had a suggestion from our producer. Why not set up a Formula One Grand Prix in the iRacing car park, but only on the iRacing platform? So of course you can't call it what do you call it? Open wheelie funny business in the iRacing car park, of course.
On the other hand, they probably are going to have to scan an airport soon. Now I think about it, San Diego.
Can't scan the airport that the Fords tested at on their way to winning at Le Mans.
Scan the airport up in Harvey Bay where supercars used to do aero parity testing in a straight line.
You two can do parity testing at home. The other thing that just crossed my mind as well is, have you heard the news about NASCAR doing a race around a military base?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's San Diego Naval Air Base, Air Station.
Yeah. Was there? I saw some. I can't recall if it was an untrue article poking a little bit of fun, but there was also claims that they might be running a race on an air carrier. I believe that one was done in jest. For the meantime, as we watch along at the moment with racing, the problem is, to the fans watching along at home, is this will be a little bit of a passive phase of the race, and that is important because the strategists are playing themselves out here. Is this Trent Allen trying to go long on fuel, I wonder?
Well, remember, Nick Wood was the driver who went one lap longer than everyone else, so if he's fuel saving again in this middle stint, I reckon that checks out with how quickly Trent Allen's been catching. Bass, Wood, and Allen are all driving the Ford Mustang GT3, and Bass is pulling away. Trent Allen's closing in, but we know Nick Wood went 19 laps when everyone else only went 17 or 18 the first time around. And if he can really hit those numbers and maybe get to... Look, if he can get 20 out of this stint,
Yep,
he'll be in position for a podium.
Yep. So out of the final corner, the run of the flag. Dean Mackay's margin in the championship. Remember, this is not corrected fuel strategy at the moment. We're expecting Shepherd to pop out in between Capel and Mackay, which should still hand Dean Mackay the championship. Tell you what, I am starting to see some shade on the circuit as well, and the track temperature's dropped off another degree, so it is coming down. As well, don't forget that the Formula One sprint from Spa is underway at the moment, which is where I'll be heading to taking some recreational viewing at the end of this one.
That track temperature was sort of as high as 40 earlier on, now dropping not really because of the clouds, mainly because of the time of day, racing deeper into the afternoon. You can see it's past 5 p.m. now. Does Japan do daylight savings? The answer is no, though its introduction has been debated on several occasions. That actually matters given it's the local time of day, so without daylight saving, 5 p.m. is actually the sun's starting to get low, whereas I've been places where summer and the daylight savings means 5 p.m. might as well be midday. Sun setting at like 10:30 p.m. in the middle of summer in Indianapolis. So if Nick Wood's hitting that savings that we think Nick Wood's hitting,
Yep.
he's not going to fight this one much, as Alan lap after lap after lap's been closing him in. Wood's now on the 15th lap since his pit stop and is aiming for at least 19 or 20.
Well, he'll need to get a 20 if there is any hope of eliminating that pit stop. A reminder that Dylan Shepherd is on a lot more fuel than these drivers at this point in time. He is a lot fresher into the stint. They're entering its twilight, and he's still in the early running of it at this point in time. Dean Mackay is going to tick through and chalk up another lap right away. Adam Hughes is also turning back towards that group. That's an undercut, so that's Trent Allen looking at the battle between them and going, okay, me staying out here is not necessarily going to change anything, so I'm just going to dive into the pit lane. Because he's not in an on-track fight with either of those cars, but every second that he wastes sitting in behind is opportunity he could be racing around in fresh air, and that's the effect that he's gone for. Meantime, Ethan Bass has crawled his way up to Lachlan Capel, took about 0.8 of a second out of him on that most recent lap, so with that in mind, he should be in striking distance next lap, depending upon if he can make some margin right here. And there was a little bit of a mistake for Bass as he entered the second half of Spoon Curve. Run down 130R and out the other side, and this is what happened to Scordilis. Tipped it into turn one, rear got away from him, and at that point he said I'd had enough. But the tricky thing is, and the issue that I have with this one is you're required by race control to ask for the tow, and that could change the race as we know it. Doesn't matter how many cars are in the server, the rules are there, and you've got to abide by them. So for Capel at the moment, Bass is coming. Only took 0.3 of a second out of him on that most recent lap. So he's just about there at this point in time. Both of these drivers expected to pit either this lap or the next lap. So this could be relevant. Now, going for the overcut actually might facilitate the overtake here, Dave, as well. The cold tyres, that will be a struggle to bring them in.
Yeah, for everyone except Dean Mackay, apparently. But yeah, certainly. And then, you know, the tyre life in the grip is getting better, but the track's getting cooler, so is the tyre warm-up actually going to get just fractionally more difficult from here on out?
And with 47 minutes on the clock, pit stops from here is going to be a splash and dash to the end of the race. just wonder. If
Dean
one of these
Mackay did
guys does something
18 laps to start the race. He's coming to the end of 18 now, and he's coming in. 47 minutes to go. Dean Mackay's in the pit lane. Lachlan Capel might follow him, might not. Nope, we're all following him.
Yep. Which means that we're going to see an even fight as these guys go to warm their tyres up.
I'm not convinced we're going to see even fueling between them all, though, but I guess with the tyre change, we might.
Yeah, I think you've got to fill the tank with changing tyres. I don't think you tinker with it too much there. It'll be the big thing. Ethan Bass just missed his pit stall, so he had to reverse, so that will put a little bit more distance between those guys. These guys, though, are going to continue on.
Well, Shepard can because he's already made 2 stops. Nick Wood will because he's missed a fuel save. There goes Dean Mackay.
Yep, gets closer.
Oh, and Mackay's just ahead of Adam Hughes, who is on hot tyres. Oh, they bump in turn 2. So once again, Adam Hughes is trying to do the team thing of harassing Dean Mackay, who's just steadfastly holding his line, and even on frozen cold tyres, that Porsche gets off the corners well. It doesn't stop well, it doesn't turn well, but it just gets so much traction.
Adam Hughes finally got the nose up the inside, and now he's going to be followed through by Ethan Bass. So Bass has gone for the under fuel, and he is on used tyres, you would expect, because that looked like a hot tyres overtake. He just followed Adam Hughes straight through. Hughes is about 3 laps away from a pit stop, so he's going to be towing Ethan Bass along. And Bass is short.
Yeah, he's taken the splash, so he's gone 12 seconds of fuel, no tyres. He's going to have a full pit stop to come later. Therefore, in sort of 8 or 9 laps time, I reckon.
Yep. About then's when we're kind of expecting it. So that's going to give us about 15 laps to the end of the race from there. And Nick Wood continuing on. Can he cut that pit stop out? Because by him cutting the pit stop out at the moment, I'm tracking us for 60 laps, or even 61 laps, which means he'd have to do a 22 lap stint at some point, which I think is just way out. That's never going to happen.
We'll wait for Wood and Shepard to make their next pit stops and then see predicted race distance. Wood went 19 first stint. He's only just getting to the end of 18 now. Dylan Shepard has found the button that flashes the headlights. Nick Wood's on.
Aggressive.
No need to let him go. Whoa.
Well, here's the thing. Shepard elbowed him off track there. And he was left. Shepard could not. Sorry, he couldn't have left Shepard any more room because he was on the edge of the track. And Shepard with the aggressive dive has elbowed him off. So that could also ride a little bit of drama back the way of Dylan Shepard. Big marker for me on this one, Dave, is going to be how close were they to track limits.
Wood's got a big lift and coast there. Okay, a little bit of Degna 1 action still going on, and I think many of a driver would have backed off just a little bit more to slot in behind Dylan Shepard. Didn't quite do that, still had half a car of overlap. Shepard took the full corner, and Nick Wood just given a little bit of that paved run-off on the outside of turn 1, so both of them could have done more. In everyone's least favourite rules of engagement, Dylan Shepard was ahead at the apex.
But it doesn't matter because they were significantly alongside by Formula 1 rulings, and that for me would mean that you're supposed to be in racing room. And if you have a look at where he ended up, well, there wasn't racing room. That's where he's ended up is the concern for me. I can say though it has not been called to race control as yet. And Nick Wood will continue on.
He's going 20
laps, which was the critical number that he at least needed to get 20.
Yeah, so getting towards that 40 minutes to go is what he needed to do. He's crossed the start-finish line about 42 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. He'll be coming in about 40 minutes, 40 seconds. He'll be exiting the pit lane, sub 40 minutes on the clock. I reckon Nick Wood can do it. And I reckon if he does, he gets on the podium.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be very, very tight in that window, isn't it? And critical to the question mark is what can Ethan Bass do with all the clear air, because he's showed he's got speed. But those tyres for Ethan Bass, I would want the track position though, is the big thing for my liking. Something happened to Ethan Bass in either the first sector or potentially picked up a slowdown in the final sector of the previous lap, because there was a big chunk of time he gave up. Yeah, he had a big slide down in turn 1. Big rear end issues, and he had to grab it back, arrested it and got it back underneath him. So even though the Mustang is looking quick right now, that decision to take the extra set of tyres, and this will be the replay illustrating what I just said. Looks fractionally hot into turn 2, and the rear end got away from him.
Nick Wood comes in, 40 minutes 35 on the clock. Adam Hughes follows him in. So both of them are going to probably want to try to get home from there, otherwise Adam Hughes is going to be in some problems.
And Hughes theoretically could have gone 18 laps. He went 18 laps in the second stint. So remember, pit at the end of lap 2. Or 3, sorry. And then came in after the damage. But he only went 17 laps on that stint. But for my mind, Adam Hughes is going to be short.
Yeah, I think so. He hasn't demonstrated the ability to save that Nick Wood has. We're past 40 minutes to go, predicting 20 more. So, I mean, I think Nick Wood, 19, 20, and 20 will do it for him.
So I reckon that's Adam Hughes going, I'm going to try and get in and amongst that lead game. And then do something from there. So
Scordelis' car just blown its motor on pit lane.
Very likely.
Did he leave it idling 15 minutes and it's done a motor?
Very likely. Yep, that's exactly what's happened.
Okay, that's the smoke.
And confirmation now that Scordelis is indeed done for the day.
Trent Allen's just taken full service, gone 5 laps, and then topped the fuel tank off, so he's good to go to the end as well now. 1 lap further along than Hughes and Wood.
One of the critical factors for his race for Trent Allen is that he is going to be catching a teammate in Patrick Redding, but he'll be catching, and then the second part of that, teammate. So he will get to traffic, but he will probably very quickly be waved on through. Sorry, my apologies. Patrick Redding is in the Ford Mustang. My apologies, not part of the IITT Revolution E-Racing outfit, so will not get waved on through. So he's going to have to fight for that one, and that could be relevant to his final running. Will Buchanan's just had a moment at Degnan too. I'll just run wide. Nick Wood will get back into fuel saving mode.
Well, the question is Hughes flipped into a fuel saving mode or not?
Yeah, that will be a big question.
They were together, they stopped, 40 minutes to go. Nick Wood, I reckon, can do it, but Hughes hasn't demonstrated the temperament for it yet, because if I was Hughes, I would have done 19 and 19 as my final 2 stints instead of 18 and then need 20.
I think he has flipped that switch and he is attempting the fuel save to get home. I did notice
so Shepard will need a significant amount of fuel again at another stop. He leads the race. Ethan Bass will need a full service He's in second. Dean Mackay is going to need a sort of 12, 13 second splash, maybe a 10-second splash. He's in third. Lachlan Capel as well in fourth. Nick Woods, the highest running car that will try to get to the end without another stop. Then Adam Hughes. And Trent Allen has made 3 stops and will get to the end from 9th. So the further to the right of screen, the most recent pit stop is, the better off of a fuel situation they are in. You see Nick Wood and Adam Hughes stopped on lap 39, and I think that was the very first opportunity you could have stopped and got and hoped to get home.
Yeah, because that's 20 laps, gets you to the end of lap 59, which is relevant. And if you have a look at Nick Wood, lap 19, lap 39, whereas Trent Allen, 17, 34, 39. So he needs to save some fuel as well. He's only gone 17 laps on a stint so far, is Trent Allen. So he's potentially also in a little bit of trouble. The other thing to note as well is as track temperature comes down, so does lap time, which means we might eke out that 61st lap. If we get that 61st lap, anyone that pit the end of 39 is dead in the water. I think we're potentially dead in the water if we get 60 laps in anyway. It's going to be really tight. I think we only get 60. My math. So that the lead car that we should be just keeping an eye on is Dean Mackay, because he's expected to pop out comfortably in the lead. And his numbers, based upon where he's tracking to, is 59.9 laps, which means he'll come to the end of the 59th lap and he'll see the white flag because time will expire before we get back for the 60th lap. So I believe 60 is the number we're working towards. And that says to me that Nick Wood and Adam Hughes and Trent Allen are going to run 21 laps on that stint.
Yeah, they've just got their fingers crossed. They're too far back off Dean Mackay to win this race, because Mackay's remaining stop of 12 seconds plus the 20-second transit time only will drop him about 30 seconds back from where he is, which will still be ahead of Wood and Hughes. But it's sort of the gap from Capel and Bass that Nick Wood wants to be ahead of.
But also worthwhile noting as well is that Adam Hughes is still at that pit stop 2 seconds shorter than Nick Wood. I reckon he could have gone the extra lap. Or he would have been very, very tight to make that extra lap. And the difference between making that extra lap and not, I think is going to be critical, because he's giving up a significant chunk of time to Dylan Shepherd at the moment per lap. Who's out there just tearing around at full noise. Yeah,
Bass
it's
and
21
Mackay
laps.
both underneath the 2-minute margin. Everyone in your top 4 are underneath the 2-minute margin, but Nick Wood and Adam Hughes are not. They've still got coldish tyres, but
Nick Wood's making margin over Adam Hughes as well, because Hughes is still figuring out what he's going to do to save the fuel, whereas Nick Wood already has a reasonable marker. But then you've got to add an extra lap to it from Wood.
see, that's track limits on the exit of the Degner too. I reckon that's another place they're getting them. And then this particular camera angle pans to one of the campgrounds, and that's where iRacing need to scan a Isuzu Elf camper, because 45-foot RV is not very Japanese camping. It's a very retired Midwest couple who are, you know, eager to tell you their views on immigration. Get a bit more local flair to the medical helicopter, the campers, the cars parked beside the circuit, all of that. That's what I've always been saying. Trent Allen, Leith McClymont here. Allen, one of those cars stopped to get to the end. McClymont, we do not think is.
No, he won't, mate.
But he's been quick but unreliable at points.
The problem for Leith McClymont is his final stop was at the end of lap 34. So he is
Dylan Shepherd's in for his final stop.
requiring one. Dylan Shepherd in. Right, here we go. How long did he go? 17 laps on that final stint for Dylan Shepherd.
Yeah, 18 and now predicting 17 more to go. So for Shepherd, as he, pits from the lead then drops back to being Ethan Bass, sort of recalculates estimated race distance based on the new race leader was just a little bit further back. Dean Mackay's beginning to close in on Ethan Bass as well there. The tyre difference starting to come into play. Old tyres for Bass, the new ones that Dean Mackay took. Yeah, and basically the full pit stop that we were expecting out of Dylan Shepherd, 25 seconds or so. He'll be putting on a set of tyres that'll get him to the end, and he's trying to really, as quickly as he can, bring him in because he doesn't want to lose too much, being sort of overcut here, putting those new tyres on.
Yeah, well, that'll be a big factor as well as the undercut is generally not the quicker way to go. It's actually the overcut that you're looking for. That is Will Buchanan letting Patrick Redden through, which is curious. And neither of those drivers have made their final stop either.
Last lap was off for Buchanan, 2:06, and it doesn't seem like it'd be because of cold tyres. Now 2:08. Is Buchanan in a massive fuel save, or does he have a problem? He's missing seconds and seconds and seconds per lap.
He can't make it. He can't make it. Because remember that we said the earliest guys that could make it pit at the end of lap 39. And he pit at the end of lap 36.
It's not worth it to lose 9 seconds per lap in pursuit of cutting out a pit stop either. By the time you've done that for 4 laps, you might as well have just taken the splash and dash. So it's got to be some kind of other problem for Buchanan, as Ethan Bass is going to pit in. Dean Mackay will go back into the lead of the race, and the predictor will tell us 16 more laps.
Something's happened to Capel as well, because remember Capel was only about... No, my apologies, Tommy's now updated itself. That's a lot better. That's about where I expected to see Lachlan Capel. He's about 10 seconds back off the race lead. I was just looking at my timing going, hang on, he's 20 seconds back, but that was to Ethan Bass.
The gap Capel to Shepherd is interesting. I think Shepherd's got Capel at the moment. Capel's going to need to take 10 seconds of fuel with a total pit lane loss of sort of 25 or so, maybe closer to 30.
And the other benefit is that Dylan Shepherd's going to be on fresh rubber, but he'll be in the warm-up phase for that at the moment. So this margin should balloon just a little bit over the next couple laps. And this is the period where Capable's got to really take the biggest chunk out of him, because if he doesn't, well, he's going to be on ailing tyres at the back end of this thing.
So you've got... Yeah... Mackay, Capel and Shepherd ahead of Ethan Bass. I think we're currently sitting as 5th is actually the best that Nick Wood can do. Because ahead of him, Shepherd and Bass have made their final stops now. Adam Hughes is losing a lot compared to Nick Wood as well. Nick Wood's this whole race, worked out which way to do it with all the corners, and Adam Hughes is a late arrival at the fuel save game, didn't do it in his last stint, which would have really helped him. Now he's found himself with a big task.
So
this is always my strength, If we were battling, both flat out and you were a little bit quicker than me, but if we ended up in a situation where we both had to save half a litre a lap, I'd be quicker than you.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I've always been lent on that side as well. I don't burn as much fuel. It tends to be that I just don't burn as much fuel. One of the big things actually that's changed in probably the last 6 months of my driving behaviours is that's actually going the opposite direction. Now I'm burning too much fuel, which has never been a problem for me historically. That's, it comes and goes. But
so
yeah,
for the comparison's sake here, Adam Hughes is now 6 laps since his last pit stop. He has the fastest lap of the race, a 1:59.1. He's just done a 2:01 So 1.9 seconds off his fastest lap of the race because he's trying to save a very large amount of fuel. Is that minus 100, Jamie?
Yeah, pretty much. He's got to save bulk fuel. But the big thing is, he did take a small margin out of Nick Wood on that most recent lap. And by the way, the comparison fastest lap, he was 7/10 faster than Nick Wood's fastest lap of the race. Fastest valid lap of the race, it must be said. So, small margins being made. I just don't know. I think those guys might have to pit again. The one that will be worthwhile keeping an eye on is Shepherd, because he's now made his final pit stop. What's his lap count? Yeah, 59.6, so it's going to be a 60 lap race. He won't 61st.
I still think 59 might happen. No, 60. They've been underneath 2-minute lap times long enough.
Yep. That's the critical factor, isn't it? Really easy to work out. 2 hours. 2 by 60.
Well, it was the pit stop time, right? If the average lap time, as this is the teammates having a bit of fun on the last day of school type of vibes, if the total combined time loss of the 3 pit stops was going to be greater than 2 minutes, we were going to go 1 lap shorter, even if, you know, the average lap time was 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been in the 59s, and that's the... Whoa! That's not what you wanted to see! They're supposed to be teammates! And somehow they've bungled it, and Will Buchanan at the moment is parked in a very precarious position. Dean Mackay is just about to come over that rise, and I think he's waiting for Mackay to come through. There he is. There's the Porsche of Mackay. He's going to see a Merc. Do we see a safety car at this point in time? Could that change everything? Reardon's into the pit lane. If I'm Dean Mackay, I'm getting that stop out of the way right now. Will Buchanan's gotten across the other side of the racetrack, and we'll get it straightened out. And for kids on the last day of school, they're about to get a rap on the knuckles for taking each other out like that.
Yeah, Buchanan is going to lose out versus Reardon. Climate and Trent Allen go on. Lachlan Capel making his final stop. 13 laps to go. Dean Mackay will still owe us 1. This is that damaged Mercedes.
Moved. Oh, it's on Trent. And he's been penalised 25 seconds for that one as well.
That's the same time as a drive-through, so that's how they've got that number.
So, Lachlan Capel's pit and come out. He's about 4 seconds behind Dylan Shepherd, so...
Gonna be tough to get that back. Shepherd's brought his tyres in now, sort of 4.5 laps since Shepherd put those tyres on. They're newer tyres than Capel. They're up to temperature and pressure, and I think Capel just needed, 0.2 of a second per lap every lap in this race, because Dylan Shepherd's got pace that he does not have. Mackay and Shepherd have been the 2 quickest guys, and they have been all race.
And what will Ethan Bass do in this exchange as well after being 3 seconds behind? He's been quicker than the pair of them of late. With some work to do, and old tyres now on that Mustang. Well, race is headed long. It's headed in the back. Half an hour. And we're coming up on 20 minutes to go as well. Dean Mackay owes us a pit stop. I think that's the last one we're waiting on. Perhaps Leith McClimate is the other one we're just keeping an eye out for. I do like the strategy here, Dave, from Ethan Bass to go with the different fuel strategy. Just try something. Just see if you can't eke it away from him.
Yeah, I mean, move the splash to a different part of the stint, because Capel and Mackay are both going to have it at the end. Bass like, I'll bring it forward. Yeah, the track's cooling off. Maybe putting that new set of tyres on earlier works out better, or whatever, or having them late if there's a late safety car, something like that. Surprised Capel didn't need that much fuel, 9.9 seconds. So Dean Mackay might be only looking at putting 8 or 9 seconds in this thing to get it home.
Go a maximum of about 6 more laps before he's due a pit stop. And we still wait to find out the final result of how Nick Wood and Adam Hughes go on their fuel save adventure. That margin
Swings and roundabouts there. Hey, like Nick Wood's pace has stayed pretty steady, but Adam Hughes is beginning to pick it up. For McClymont versus Trent Allen, one of them's got a 25-second post-race penalty, so I mean, unless they're going to spin out another one of their teammates before 130R.
Well, it's one way to get the job done.
It's very primary school, boys are mean to you because they like you. Fair bit of damage on the front bumper, to be honest, for Trent Allen. Knowing how the Ford Mustang GT3 is assembled, it's a wonder you can damage any body panel and it stay on.
Oh, that'll solve the equation. And unfortunately, as those tyres get worn in the rear end of Leith McClimate's Lamborghini, she rotates out of the rear yet again.
This is Bass with these sort of fresher tyres later on type strategy. It's not bad, is it? Sector 1, well that's where all the S's and the twisty stuff is. Capel has a big moment over the first Degner. Doesn't look comfortable. Not that it's Bass, to be honest. Maybe it's the camera angle there. But certainly Sector 1 is where new tyres should give you the most gain here at Suzuka, because it's medium speed corner, and then into a left-hand medium speed corner, then a right-hand medium speed corner, quick medium speed left-hander, long off-camber medium speed right-hander, even longer medium speed accelerating left-hander. It's sort of, obviously was meant to be a bit of a test track, tyre test track as well for Honda in the automotive region here. So that's kind of what the first sector does. A great racing track through the rest of it, but was sort of funded by Honda and the rest to give you that sort of testing torture.
Yeah. But for now, Lachlan Capel's McLaren is getting tested to the utmost, and you can see the sun starting to set. That light has gone off the racetrack. Track temp's down to about 31.1 at the moment. Air temp is starting to die off as well. And the McLaren runs itself out of the final corner. The air temperature's barely changed at all. But that sun has come down now as we enter 5:45 p.m. 15 minutes from now, it will be 6 o'clock local time in Japan, and that sun is nearing to set.
Land of the rising sun. Sun's going the other way though this afternoon. Yeah, steady air temperature, but track temp dropping and dropping and dropping. along with the clouds, it looks super dark at the moment.
The scheduled sunset time in Tokyo today is 6:51 p.m, so that's about an hour away. So it is, we won't get to darkness here. Not in the final 20 minutes of this one.
Geez, 6:51 p.m. sunset in the middle of summer. What do they think they are, Brisbane?
Well, that's just dipped again. 30.6, I can tell you the UV is not on it anymore. You are rapidly seeing that track temps start to drop away as that sun gets lower and lower. There's very, very little light on the track at this point in time, which is critical as well for the driver's perspective, because that sun can be in your eyes around this racetrack later on, but that phase is now gone.
You know, originally there were stand-up double basses, and Fender Guitar Company were the first to make an electric bass guitar as we know it now, and it was available in two varieties, one that was fretless, the jazz bass, and one that had guitar-style frets, the precision bass. Now I wonder which one we're going to see in the final 15 minutes. Is it going to be freeform and wild, or is it going to be tightly tuned and precise? You know the Michael Jackson song Billie Jean?
Yes.
I've held the bass guitar that they recorded that on in studio.
Ooh.
And amp combination. Went with a friend to meet a collector, and he's collected some very interesting musical things.
That would be, yeah, unique decision, unique opportunities for sure. I believe that. That's phenomenal. Where in the world were you when that happened?
Fellas on the Sunshine Coast.
Didn't even have to travel all that far as well. That's
my friend did. He was coming from Sydney to buy one. He's like, "Can you please drive me to meet this guy on the Sunshine Coast?" I was like, "Yep."
Sweet, no problem. Go for it. How about for Ethan Bass at the moment, who is now tracked down and caught Lachlan Capel? I'll tell you what, he was the fastest car on that most recent lap too. Took 0.8 of a second out of Lachlan Capel. I reckon Capel might have underfueled here, you know.
Well, we haven't seen the final stop from Mackay yet to make any kind of comparison. But yeah, maybe Capel just a little bit. We did see these Mustangs begin to get quicker the cooler the track temperatures got. I'm not super surprised that Ethan Bass racing from the UK has sort of woken up a little bit towards the end of this race as well.
Yeah, can't carry the speed that he wanted to through 130R, which is where the McLaren's a touch stronger. So it might be better in terms of the wing angle that is on that McLaren at the moment. But at the moment, the traction going the way of the Mustang means it might be just being a touch kinder to the tyres. What are the lap times going to look like this time by? Capel runs a 59.818, 738 for Ethan Bass. 0.08 of a second out of the number 8 McLaren, just out of him. But Capel, a touch of the death wobble on the run into turn number 1. It slid and he caught it quickly. But that is margin that he will now lose.
Sun's back out on sector 1. It's not like Lachlan Capel's hanging around on 159.8. It's within 1/10 of his fastest lap. It's just that Ethan Bass has got just a little bit more.
Does that make you question whether or not Capel actually took tyres in that final stop? Well, when he definitely wouldn't have, so he had to have taken on the stop before, yeah. Here we go.
What it means is Ethan Bass just sort of covered his hand a little bit in the mid-stint to show his full strength at the end, and Lachlan Capel didn't pull enough gap earlier on. Now the tyre age difference is sort of 3-ish laps. No, it's more than that, sorry. It's 8 laps versus 16 laps.
Yeah, so long way for Ethan Bass to go on this final set of tyres. It was the hairpin that he made a lot of time up. It was the middle and off. He was okay through the entry, but it was middle and off. He just drove right up to Capel. And now he does make margin, but how much speed does he get to carry through 130R? He gets close, he gets close, he gets close, has to lift. Car's not as secure as he wants it to be through 130R, and he loses all that margin he's gained. Dylan Shepherd might have just had a moment.
Not sure. I'm also surprised to see Trent Allen in for a fourth time. I thought he was one of the first guys that we knew was getting home. He's gone and made another stop. Leith McClymont making another stop. Still waiting on Dean Mackay's final stop.
Shepherd's very wide at turn 1. Shepherd just had a huge moment down at turn 1. Managed to hang on to it, but he ran out and over the curbing and was in the AstroTurf. So there goes Trent Allen. He passes through the pit lane. Look how deep and wide he was. He just pointed it straight and got on the brakes.
Yeah, it was as he went around Trent Allen, who was in the pit exit. Lachlan Kepler remains ahead of Ethan Bass in the battle for the podium. Dean Mackay's final stop is going to bring him out only just a couple of seconds ahead of Dylan Shepherd, I think. Lachlan Capel's final splash stop was 29 seconds pit lane transit time. You see that Dylan Shepherd's 33 seconds behind Dean Mackay, who's going to need a similar stop to what Lachlan Capel has already taken.
He's going to tighten up at the back end of this one. And after 2 hours of waiting, these GT3 games, they're just a slow burn. You've got to wait. You've got to be patient. You've got to be hanging into it. You've got to be thinking big picture to get all the way back here. The final half an hour of the season has been significantly more exciting than the 90 minutes that came before it.
Eyes on Mackay, I think, because the blend is going to be close. I expect him to be ahead of Shepherd.
He's in the lane.
Yeah, it'll be close. So 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds of fuel for Dean Mackay. He's exiting pit lane now. The tyres are warm but old, and there's Dylan Shepherd on the front straight at speed.
Comfortable. So he is in certainly a comfort zone at the moment. It's going to be about 6 seconds or so between them once they both get back up to racing speed here. But this one is the one that gets a touch closer. Remember, we talked about the difficulty of getting this done. So now it's harass, harangue.
Is that Hughes off the road trying to pass Nick Wood?
Was that Hughes off the road trying to fuel save too much and just went straight on?
No, he's picked up the pace. Adam Hughes has picked up the pace compared to Nick Wood. Gotten closer, but then you've seen him off the road there at the final braking zone and lap in the chicane. He's had to sort of give it up and send Nick Wood back ahead. Lachlan Capel's got no spare margin versus Ethan Bass here, so you've got a couple of battles all the way to the end for the podium for 5th and 6th.
Here's the moment. Gets to the inside, dives on the brakes very, very late, just misses it.
He had a free kick and he slipped and fallen over before his boot could make contact with the ball.
And there's going to be a battle as we head into the hairpin on this time by Ethan Bass gets to the outside of the McLaren. He's going to go the long way round. Can he get the power down? He cannot. The cover to the inside. The battle for the podium of Capel and Bass.
Well, Ethan Bass has wanted to get down the inside of the hairpin there a couple of times. Lachlan Capel's very smart to predict it, cover the inside, and find out that there is just a little bit more grip
there is a bump. There was a bump there, and Capel drifted it out the other side of Spoon. Bass had to lift up and allow him to recatch it. But there was definitely contact between those two cars there. Mid-corner speed on the Mustangs now supreme. This will be the replay. No, sorry, my apologies. This is Nick Wood versus Adam Hughes live in the other picture. On the bottom. So top is Capel versus Ethan Bass. Bottom is Nick Wood versus Adam Hughes.
It's a Mustang hunting and a Mustang being hunted. Didn't see that Nick Wood was really trying to defend Adam Hughes, just that Adam Hughes misjudged it when he had the wide open goal in front of him a lap ago here. And now he goes the other side to get past Nick Wood, and he'll be very cautious and careful how he brakes. Hughes up into 5th.
And an update on the lap counter. We are 60.0 laps suggested to the end of the race. So it could go either way. If it goes the other way, well, Nick Wood's going to be out of fuel. He won't make 61. So he's just hoping.
59 Mackay's completed 55, and I think there's 4 to go.
It's going to be real
It'll be
tight.
close. It'll be
Yeah.
like plus or minus 10 seconds, kind of close.
Yeah, very much so. It's going to be right on it, which is why all we can do is watch and wait. And Nick Wood's race sort of hangs in the balance. Unfortunately, there's nothing he can do about it. But in the meantime, Ethan Bash finally finds a window, and he shows the nose of the Mustang. Again, contact. Again, paint traded between the two. And I'll actually jump across and have a little bit of a look and see if I can see both of those guys. Yeah, they're not in a public channel, unfortunately, on the team Discord. I've all but dropped there. I wonder whether or not Capel's racing over there today. Whether or not there'll be some chatter, communication between the two of them. And some enjoyment.
So the clock as Dean Mackay approaches the start-finish line. We're sort of looking at plus or minus 6 minutes. Mackay comes to the timing line right now with 6 minutes 5 seconds on the clock. That is going to be the extra lap. This is going to be a 60-lap race at the current speed.
It's so tight. It is so tight. Team Mackay. You know what? I think you're right. I think it's going to be 61. And for Nick Wood, get that pit stop in earlier rather than later. He is all over Adam Hughes now. All over him like a bad smell as he tipped into the final chicane as well. So that battle's not going away. So margin for the race lead in the end is going to be in the realm of 5 seconds. Dylan Shepherd will think what could have been. So this is the battle, remember, for the championship.
Well, if Dean Mackay brings this one home with a win, he'll be incredibly pleased with the season that he's put together. The consistency. He managed the strategy so well last round as well. I don't think at the start of the year that the Porsche was exactly the greatest car to be in, but it's looked really good in the last 2 rounds, particularly on the cold tyres and the way that they handle on the newest tyres for these cars. Bass is going to have another look for sure. Capel not going to cover it.
Just didn't he didn't cover it. He just disincentivized it, gave him a narrow window to look at, which would be bravery at Spoon. But they both wiggle as they get out of Spoon Curve and the power down. There was attitude in the rear end of the McLaren and the Mustang. As British engineering plays against the raw power of the Ford Mustang on the Dark Horse program.
4 minutes 6 seconds on the race lead across the line. We're doing 2 minutes lap time, so it's going to be 3 more. I'm pretty sure we're going to see 3 more. As far as straight line speed, Ethan Bass has got just a little bit more.
He just can't get close enough, and that's the problem that he's having. He just needs a little bit more, And the other issue is how narrow it is over at 130R as well. He just can't follow close enough through 130R to have a shot at the chicane. This is the battle for the two guys that are fuel saving.
Have both dropped their pace big time. They got towards sort of 2 minutes. Now they're back to 2:03s, high 2:02s. Look at the, can we get like last 3 laps maybe? Should we have last 5 laps? Because they sort of were in a real fuel saving pace after their pit stops, then picked it up a little bit and now have both dropped it back. So look at Adam Hughes' last 3 laps. He thought, oh yeah, I can get back towards a 2 minutes, still, 8/10 off, a second away from what his best could be. But then in lap 56, lap 57.
Yeah, and for Dean Mackay, this is the difference in terms of lap pace that we'll see in a moment when that pops back up. So I'll tell you. Well, the 55 is the pit stop. It's 3.5 seconds. They're losing at the moment. So it would have been quicker to make that pit stop, but it's too late to think about that now. What's going to happen, by the way, for both of those cars is if Nick Wood just goes, I'm not going to make it to pits, well, Adam Hughes will just turn the wick up immediately and hit the following lap. But
Shepard with a slowdown in second place. Presumably some trouble at the Estemo chicane. Barney.
it is 2 laps left to run. So it'll be lap 59 and then lap 60, and there's contact once more. I don't know how many times Ethan Bass could give Lachlan Capel a nudge and a hurry up, but he's done it about 4 times now.
Yeah, well, he cut the corner that time, so it's actually going to cost him big time. Took Dylan Shepard a long time to clear the slowdown. Ethan Bass still got it into turn 1 and turn 2.
Oh, huge moment for Ethan Bass. That'll probably do it. That will extend the margin out to a second. Now, what are these two going to do?
Hughes still ahead of Wood. Now they're going to come around this time, not see the white flag, and what happens? I mean, they both stay out, but they'll know now that it's going that extra lap. Oh, faces drop back even slower, 204.5.
You know, there's a thing in motocross known as a slow race, and it's a game of balance, but it is not a game of fuel.
Well, there's a type of bicycle racing in Japan called Keirin. It's about, you know, going with the pace, waiting, timing your run, not wanting to be the leader until the optimal time. I mean, it also only exists because it's like the only one of 2 or 3 things you can gamble on in Japan, but...
But for the meantime, Bass and Capel are going to continue on it once more through Spoon Curve. Dean Mackay is on his run through 130R. He will come through the chicane. He will see the white flag. And he will know all he's got to do is have a clean lap. That's all it's going to do. He could fuel save the entirety of this lap. He could lose 4.5 seconds at a pace on this next lap, and it won't matter. Because as he starts, Barney gets frenetic, and he's wavering, and he is gesturing to the drivers with white flag in hand. One more circuit for Premier Endurance League. Gamer Gear Direct Open Championship. We are about to crown our first ever Open Series champion. But for the meantime, the battle's on for 3rd spot, and the battle is on for 5th. It's a fuel game for 5th. Who has applied the horses correctly? For Ethan Bass, it's who's applied the front bumper correctly.
Capel's turn-in and mid-corner stability is great, but the Mustang is getting off the corners well and just seems to have a little bit more in a straight line that keeps Lachlan Capel defending at all of these opportunities. But then where Capel's strengths are, does let him defend from the start of the braking zone through to the apex of the corner.
And there will be a go at the hairpin in this one. You can be certain. Hairpin now for Dean Mackay. He has got Spoon Curve and he's got 130R to go. And then he will be done, and he will crown himself a championship. But it's this battle we're keeping an eye on the top screen. And he's close. He is breathing all over him. You know that he's going to cover. You're going to get perfectly alongside of the turn-in point, but he's in the marbles as Ethan Bass, and he cannot find the drive. Turns it back. Got great drive off the corner. Going to try and go around the outside. I think he's alongside a Capel for the first time as they come up and over the crest through the right-handers. The run to Spoon Curve. He's going to be on the inside. This is the first opportunity he's had at Spoon, and he's not going to let go on this one, and Capel turns in from the outside and gets rotated. There was gap. There was daylight between those 2 cars. Will remain question marks and provisional, but for the meantime, Dean Mackay has waited a long time to celebrate. He picked the right car back at the start of the season. It waited a long time to show itself. It showed its speed at Spa. And the 4-1-3 for TriStar Racing gets it done. And is your first ever Gamer Gear Direct GT3 Open Series champion. And Ethan Bass has yielded to Lachlan Capel. He's on track redressed.
So Capel will get that podium ahead of Ethan Bass. Hughes and Nick Wood both in a massive fuel save situation, but Nick Wood seems to be on the worst end of it. It's 1 or 2 of these going to cough and splutter. Hughes and Nick Wood need to do 21 laps to get it home.
Hughes is nicked off down to the tune of 3 seconds. Over Adam Hughes. Over Nick Wood.
Dean Mackay is doing an all-time burnout right now.
He'll get the opportunity for that one, but does Hughes have enough to get out of the final corner? He does, so he gets it done. Did manage to go the distance in 21 laps on the fuel. Hughes is out. Sorry, Wood's out. Wood ran out. Wood ran out of the last corner. He got to about third gear, and the thing just cough spluttered and died. So a fuel-safe battle for the ages between those two.
Hughes and Nick Wood were actually the last drivers on the lead lap by the looks of things. Reardon had gone a lap down. Trent Allen, Leith McClymont, and Will Buchanan, the last car, 1 lap down. Everyone else is basically a retirement. As we'll, I think, look to the results after we get a. I mean, this was a well-deserved. This was a race-winning and championship burnout combined.
Yeah, and he celebrated in style. We'll get the results coming our way here in just a few moments. Waiting, I think, no, the entire field have now crossed the start-finish line. That is the release of the clutch and the destruction of those rear tyres of the Porsche. They did their job for 60 laps here at Suzuka, and they are no longer needed intact, so you can better believe they're coming back utterly destroyed. And for Team Mackay, he's enjoying the celebrations. Interesting fuel race to bring us to the conclusion of that one too. Dave, strategy race, mistakes. There was a fair bit going on.
There's also a sign there at turn 2, Kochira Racing, and that's the name of the mascot. It's an intergalactic motorcycle dinosaur.
Well, an intergalactic championship for the ages for Dean Mackay. He might have to go and shake the hand of Kochira for that one, bringing it home. He'll get the job done over Dylan Shepherd, Lachlan Capel, and Ethan Bass home next to each other after a contact ruled net code on that final lap. Adam Hughes got the job done over Nick Wood, cars on the lead lap. 4 cars, 1 lap down from Patrick Red and Trent Allen, Leith McClymont, and Will Buchanan to bring it home there, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. Buchanan was the last car that saw the checkered flag. Scordilis had some long repairs, and then the motor blew on pit lane. Bobby Camo went out of this one. Connor Nixon out of this one. Rick Provençale with some early issues. I don't think we saw Owen Coleman or Matt Webber take the start of this race. So that was our races, and you know it had plenty in it amongst the fuel strategy. Some drivers that were forced off strategy by early crashes on a very tricky hot race track that then cooled and pacified. And Dean Mackay, he just needed to keep his cool head for 2 hours, and in the end, victorious.
And we'll get the opportunity to break it down and chat to him here in just a few moments. I can confirm we've got him on standby right now, so let's waste no further time. Open Series champion and burnouts complete. That new tyre model, Dean, and that Porsche, it might have not been the quickest car at the start of the season, but you're just in the right place at the right time, in the right model. And the back end, the stability and the consistency of that Porsche, it looked a dream to drive. And the cold tyre warm-up on that car as well. You did not look on edge at any point in that race.
Yeah, I mean, setting up the car, I feel like I aimed to be faster in the hotter weather than the cold, which really helped in the qualifying as well. But yeah, car felt pretty good. Suzuka curbs, you never know when they strike, but they strike pretty hard, so you always got to be on the lookout for that.
Mate, challenging race here tonight. Obviously, we saw the issues to Dylan Shepherd as well, but he still tried to track you guys back down. But mate, Suzuka's just a challenge with the new tyre model. With the tyres going away from you at the back end of that stint as well, it just looked like that was just such a tricky one to read.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could see as well, Shepherd was forced to sort of almost double stint the tyres after the first stop, and the pace just drops off so fast. Like if as soon as you put in more fuel, you really notice it.
But in terms of things, that's a long championship put together as well, and Shepherd took you all the way to the final race. I mean, were you sweating coming into this one, knowing that he was starting alongside of you?
Yeah, I was pretty excited for this round. Put in some good preparation, I think, and it paid off.
And finally, brother, who would you like to give a shout out and a thank you to for getting it done for you here tonight?
Yeah, first of all, thanks to my teammates at TriStar Racing, thanks to Astro Energy, our sponsor, and also a final thank you to everyone involved in the league, all the drivers, race control, broadcasters. Wouldn't be the same without you.
Mate, thank you very much for coming and having a chat. Congratulations on the championship golf and enjoy that one for now, brother.
Cheers, thank you.
And confirmation of final championship results. Of course, always provisional at the drop of the flag at the very end of things. But yeah, look, I mean, it was good. There was certainly challenges. There was moves being made. I think Ethan Bass will actually be quite happy coming away with third spot in that one. He probably enjoyed the last half hour of that race too. That was a very interesting non-track flight he got to have there.
He got to do that slightly different strategy that just in the final stint let him come back towards Lachlan Capel and make a really exciting fight out of that in the final sort of 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. And that is how they will come to the conclusion. That does kick us off here for the end of the Game of Gear Direct GT3 Open Series. However, coming your way from Sunday the 31st of August with tracks to be confirmed. Can you really think about missing out on season number 2 of the GT3 Open Series from Premier Endurance League? On behalf of Game of Gear Direct, our proud naming rights sponsor, on behalf of all the sponsors that get it done for the series and Dash Off-Road and the Sim Ranking in Focus podcast as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure to bring you all the coverage of your championship. We say bye for now. Catch you back again in about a month's time for some more GT3 Open Series racing.